Good afternoon. Members of the Ohio Redistricting Commission, my name is Whitney Siddiqi, and I live in Cincinnati. I'm here today testifying on behalf of the Ohio chapter of the Council on American Islamic Relations, known better as CAIR-Ohio. Thank you for the opportunity to appear before you to present testimony in favor of equal districts in which every person's vote holds equal weight. As a civil rights and advocacy organization for Ohio Muslims and a proud member of the Ohio Citizens Redistricting Commission and the Equal Districts Coalition, which, by the way, will be releasing citizen-inspired maps tomorrow, CAIR-Ohio has been working for several months to fight for fair maps. Muslims, who are often the subject of political discourse, rarely have the opportunity to advocate for themselves. As it stands, Islamophobia, racism, and xenophobia pervade our political system, leading to the creation of discriminatory policies and laws. This emphasizes the need for diverse representation among elected officials. At the very least, Muslims should have adequate representation in government that will be accessible and responsive, much less advocate for our needs. That is why we have been working so hard to educate and mobilize our Ohio Muslim communities, which total around 200,000 people in Ohio, around this subject. Through redistricting education events in Columbus, Dayton, and Cincinnati, we have submitted 100 community maps from citizens to the Ohio Citizens Redistricting Commission, and this really shows our citizens' perspectives of their own communities. We have helped numerous community members submit written testimony to this commission, and we continue to have important conversations about redistricting and our political system with Muslims from every background: college students, our future leaders, doctors, community volunteers, parents, religious leaders, and young professionals, to name just a few. It's a complex subject, but as soon as people understand how redistricting has diluted their voting power and rigged our elections in Ohio, people become frustrated, appalled, and passionate about this subject. This is not the democracy our community members studied in civics class or learned about when immigrating to the United States. It is critical that as citizens, we understand how redistricting has pushed our nation, and specifically Ohio, to the political extremes, leading to predictable election outcomes and disengaged voters, and perhaps most significantly, how it has diluted the voting power of marginalized communities by splitting our communities. One example is Cincinnati. I live in the Oakley neighborhood of Cincinnati on the east side. This is a popular up-and-coming neighborhood for young professionals, young families. My neighborhood and others are included in the 2nd Congressional District, which includes Claremont, Brown, Highland, and other counties, which I never frequent, have no connection to, no offense to them. While one of the mosques that I attend downtown in Clifton, along with the other part of Cincinnati, is included in the 1st Congressional District. Both districts have Republican representation in Congress. By splitting Hamilton County, which votes majority Democratic, into 2 congressional districts with surrounding counties that are majority Republican communities, map jars have ensured that Cincinnatians could not elect the officials that represent their views and concerns. Additionally, and I'm trying to speak fast. I'm sorry, I'm running up on time. Additionally, because of the way previous maps were drawn, parts of Cincinnati are also split into state districts with representatives who do not share the same values as their constituents. For example, the neighborhoods of West Price Hill, East Price Hill, and Lower Price Hill have been placed into House District 29, 30, and Senate District 8, which all have white Republican representation despite the fact that these neighborhoods are diverse and vote majority Democratic. No matter which party you're affiliated with, you deserve adequate political representation. My hope for this round of redistricting is that Cincinnati will not be split up in such a way that dilutes the collective voting power of this community. Another example is the division of the large Muslim community that spans Westchester and Mason, just north of Cincinnati. Although there are county and city boundaries, Our Muslim community and the broader Mason and Westchester communities are closely connected, living, interacting, and using resources across both areas. They are members of both the Islamic Center of Greater Cincinnati and Westchester and the Islamic Center of Mason. They go to halal grocery stores and restaurants in both areas and send their children to school across both areas, including the Islamic school in Westchester, which serves the entire Greater Cincinnati region. Our Muslim community in this area has shared interests and resources, yet are split between House Districts 52 and 53, Senate Districts 4 and 7, and the 1st and 8th congressional districts. This makes it impossible for minority communities to advance issues which matter to them and affect their daily lives. This suppression of political power is especially harmful for communities who are racial and religious minorities, experience institutional discrimination at a higher rate, and are typically not engaged at all by elected officials. Ohio politicians have proven that they will act in their own self-interest rather than advancing the needs of their constituents. This is evident in the ways this supposedly public process has been undermined. Thus far, we have seen this commission and Governor DeWine seriously challenge the spirit of the redistricting reforms Ohioans overwhelmingly voted for. These public hearings were scheduled a week before the first deadline and during work and school hours for most Ohioans. The process to submit testimony was quietly announced 3 days before the first hearing, and several commissioners have been skipping these hearings altogether. Fair maps come from a fair process, and we are deeply concerned that is not what we're getting here today. We are constantly hearing about the extreme divides in America. This would not be the case if our districts were drawn fairly, if our elections were truly competitive, and if every vote, especially those of marginalized communities like the Muslim community, had equal voting power. Thank you for your time today. I had a few community members that wish to be here but could not be. I have some excerpts from their testimony, but I'm assuming I'm run up on time. So thank you so much for listening.